Summer Maelstrom by Kitsune Row 16, Chapter 5, Battle at Wave. Last time. You're going to beat me, the Uchiha drawled. If it's anything like last time, then you'll be the one whose ass gets kicked. Besides, he vanished from view and appears behind Naruto with his sword drawn. I will not allow you to live like last time. Sasuke swung his Chokuto and watched as it faced through the blonde as if he weren't there. If his eyes widened in shock briefly before he turned to bring up a guard just as a yellow-clad fist smashed into it. That did not seem to be the end of it, however, as the fist then exploded and sent him crashing into some machinery. Sasuke glared at the smirking blonde as he picked himself up from the rubble. I'm not the same as I was last time, Sasuke, Naruto said as he brought both fists up in a brawler-type stance. I'm a hell of a lot stronger this time around. Sasuke glared, and his glare instead increased tenfold at the blonde's words. He felt the familiar shift in his eyes as they bled red and the three tamos appeared. Looks like I can't hold back this time, he thought. I must finish what I started all those years ago. I will end you, Naruto Uzumaki. He spoke aloud, and Naruto's grin grew feral. Bring it. Currently. Naruto grinned excitedly as he met the eyes of his opponent. The blonde may be on a mission to bring him back, but he was ecstatic to finally get his rematch with the Uchiha, and once he defeated him, Naruto can finally say he fulfilled his promise to his female teammate. Well, that and he wanted to pay him back for shoving two Chidoris through his chest is the only reason he is actually still cares about Sasuke. He no longer had the time to try to mend the bond that the other person themselves had cut. If he wanted to be alone, then fine. Naruto didn't plan on being dragged down with him. Come on, you bastard, he taunted. Or are you too scared? Sasuke scoffed. As if. Jugo, he called to his team. I want you to go after the masked one, Karin, Suigetsu. You get the two girls. I don't care which. The loser is mine. Ho! I didn't know you felt that way about me, Sasuke, the blonde mocked. I'm flattered, but sorry, I'm taken. In the background, Suigetsu snorted in amusement, causing the Uchiha to turn a nasty glare onto him. The swordsman merely shrugged him off. It was funny, was all he said. Ha! Naruto laughed. See, even your team thinks so. Are we going to get started, or what? Sasuke asked, irritated when the Uchiha continued to laugh without a care. I was expecting to fight, not be in a comedy routine. Naruto finished his bout of laughter and wiped a stray tear from the corner of his eye. That's where you're wrong, you bastard. The fight has already begun. No sooner had he spoken, Summer appeared behind Suigetsu while swinging one of her swords in an upward arc. The sharp-toothed man showed no emotion at the surprise attack and simply allowed the blade to pass through his water-like body. His calm expression took change, however, as the area where he was cut froze and he began to spread across his body. He quickly recovered and solidified his body before it could freeze entirely. He soon regretted taking his attention off of the rose when she brought her other sword around and sliced into his now solid chest. Gasping at the pain, he was barely able to yank his own sword around and block her next strike. Now it was Summer's turn to be shocked when Suigetsu's blade withstood the cutting power of Blizzard Rose, although the force of the blow was still enough to send the disoriented man careening into the back wall, where he was probably buried under a ton of rubble. Before Summer could compliment any further on the strength of the large blade, she heard the sound of birds chirping wildly. Instantly recognizing the sound thanks to Naruto's detailed stories, the rose spun sharply to the side, neatly dodging a lightning-covered fist. She grinned impish as she observed the attack. You know, she noted, that move is really loud for an assassination technique. I told you so, Naruto said from behind Sasuke. The Uchiha nearly had a heart attack at the sudden closeness and was too stunned to react at the fist as it impacted against his face, causing his feet to leave the ground for the second time today. There was a brief feeling of weightlessness that was immediately put to a halt as Sasuke's leg was grabbed. Dark eyes met blue as he was pulled back towards the blonde. Naruto held onto the man's leg and rotated rapidly. Summer, he called, his voice slightly warped from spinning. Ice guillotine. No sooner than he had spoken, Summer was already in the air, upside down with her feet against one of the rafters. Naruto then released Sasuke towards her. She pushed off the rafter and began spinning like a top at the airborne Uchiha as ice coated her blades. Sasuke grimaced at the incoming technique. Damn it, I have no time, he thought angrily. The Tomos on his Sharingan disappeared and was replaced by three rapidly rotating eclipses. Sasuke! Ah! Sasuke was cut off as Jugo appeared between the two with a fist transformed into the shape of an axe and attempted to stop the deadly top. A loud screeching noise akin to that of metal grinding against itself sounded as they clashed against one another, with the orange laughing insanely all the while. The clash ended with both attacks detonating and the shockwave sent both participants careening backwards. Naruto easily blurred behind the flying rose and caught her, while Jugo simply impacted against the far wall, blowing a hole through it. Sasuke glared heatedly from his prone position on the floor. The hell is with their teammate? He gripped. He would not get an answer, however, as a sudden roar caught his attention. The Uchiha turned and saw a large dragon made entirely out of the flames barreling towards him. Mentally cursing, Sasuke flipped onto his feet and utilized a swift replacement with a piece of debris before slipping into the shadows that allow himself a small amount of time catch his breath and think of his next plan of attack. He already noticed Karen had finished digging Sugetsu out and was now working on healing him using a modified Mystic Palm technique. Jugo, he knew, would be fine because of his high vitality. It seems I'll have to stall until they can recover, he thought to himself. I can't let them start doing those team attacks again. Damn it, I've miscalculated Naruto's improvement over the years. And that girl, he grit his teeth in frustration. Sharingan! Sasuke swiftly evaded the blow, thanks to the warning shout, and watching as the girl's face collapsed the area he once stood. Sakura, you're not supposed to yell during a sneak attack, Naruto complained, causing the pink ant looked away sheepishly. Sasuke's Sharingan picked up movement to the side, and he had to jump back to avoid a crescent arc of ice. And this girl's ice release is beginning to annoy me. I thought that the Hunter Nin and those people in the Land of Snow were the only ones with that ability. He then began to evade a series of blows from Kakashi. Damn, I can't take all of them at once. I'll have to use it. Sasuke, instead of dodging, pushed the left hook from the silver-haired Jonin to the side, causing him to overextend himself. The Uchiha took this opportunity to sweep Kakashi's feet out from underneath him before rotating once more to kick the man away. Instantly, Sasuke's Sharingan morphed once again. Purple chakra enveloped his form as an armored skeleton-like creature surrounded him. Susanoo, the Uchiha declared proudly, an ability granted to me by my Mangekyo Sharingan. Now you will no longer be able to touch me. The others took in this information with varying levels of shock. Sakura and Kakashi gaped at the spectral warrior in amazement and horror. Summer clenched her teeth and tightened her grip on Blizzard Rose. Naruto, however, only looked contemplatively. Isn't the monkey whatever what you said you had to kill me for back at the valley? He asked. Sasuke looked stunned, whether to his lack of reaction or the question. Naruto was uncertain of. Yes, he decided to answer simply. The Uchiha nodded at this and held a hand to his chin. Interesting. It all makes sense now. He shook his head vigorously and pointed a finger at the Uchiha dramatically. You're in love with that orange-haired guy? Huh? The others all shouted as one, making Naruto feel all over, holding his stomach in laughter at the comical look of shock everyone wore. Your faces, he gasped out between bouts of laughter. What the fuck, loser? Sasuke shouted encouragingly. That didn't make any sense and was completely out of context because the Uchiha's chuckle died down. I thought your reaction would be hilarious. He gave him a mock thumbs up. It was. Team 7 all palmed their faces at once while Sasuke seethed. I really shouldn't be all that surprised, Sakura said tiredly. It's just like him to pull something like that. That moron. Kakashi nodded. That is, after all, what granted him the title of Konoha's #1 hyperactive knucklehead. Hmm, strange. Goodwitch gave him the same title at Beacon. Summer noted at the silver-haired man sighed. I guess some things never changed. I also did it to confirm something, Naruto continued suddenly. You can come out now, fish breath. The others looked confused until a loud laugh reverberated throughout the building. Very good, brat. Out of the shadows around the back entrance, a large man stepped out. He had a distinctive shark-like appearance complete with small, round, wide eyes, gill-like facial markings under his eyes, and sharp, triangular teeth, much like most of the other members of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. His blue hair is styled in the form of a shark fin, and a scratched mist headband adorned his forehead. However, what stood out most about the man was his black cloak with a crimson cloud pattern and a large bandaged wrapped sword strapped to his back. This man was Kisame Hoshigaki. I wonder how you noticed me, though, the large man asked curiously. Luck, mostly, Naruto admitted shamelessly. When Kakashi sensei used that fire jutsu, I happened to be looking your way when the light of the jutsu reflected off your headband. That joke just a minute ago was what sold you out. I saw the movement you made when you tried to stifle your laughter. Kisame, as well as the other fighters, gaped at the blonde's explanation before the swordsman guffed loudly. "Aw, man," he said, still chuckling. "It's been a while since I laughed like that." He sighed regretfully. "It's too bad I have to capture you so we can rip out that biju in your stomach." Naruto smirked. Who's to say I still have it?" Kisame snorted. "Yeah, right, kid. I don't care how much of a tough guy you are. If a Biju gets taken out of you, you're done. Except for that Gara guy, still have no idea how the hell that man is walking among the living." "Whatever you say," the blonde shrugged uncaringly. "So we gonna fight, or what?" The blue-haired man smirked. "Fight?" He chuckled as he shook his head slowly. "Nah, kid, this is gonna be a massacre after all." His hand moved at near uncrushable speed as he waved hand signs. "I am on my home turf." He then shouted out his technique: water-style explosion, water shock wave. The area around them exploded and flooded with water that spewed out from the rogue ninja's mouth. Eventually, the factory wasn't able to contain the liquid any longer and broke apart, sending wood and other debris flying everywhere. Once everything had settled, they observed the mini lake that had been formed. There was so much water that the ninja were forced to water walk while Summer froze the water under her in order to stay afloat. "Well," Naruto grimaced, "this is bad. I wonder how they're doing." Sitting in the office of the Hokage Tower in Konoha were three people, plus a child. The blonde female of the group was the one who had spoken. "I'm sure they are fine, Tsunade." Jiraiya waved her off as he continued coddling the toddler in his lap. "They are all strong in their own right, and with all of them working together, I'm sure that there isn't much that can stop them. I don't think it was their abilities that Lady Tsunade was worrying about, Lord Jiraiya," said Suzune. Tsunade nodded at her apprentice's words. "That's right. I don't care how strong Naruto and the others are. There are dangerous people after him, and every single one of them are S-ranked. I think that warrants a little bit of worry." "Nah, they'll be fine. Besides," Sage shrugged, "if things take a turn for the worse, Naruto and Summer both have a few aces up their sleeves." Jiraiya turned to look at the blonde Hokage improvingly. "And don't you have a few things to do as well?" Tsunade groaned and dragged a hand down her face tiredly. "Don't remind me. I'd rather do more paperwork than have a meeting with those old farts in the council." The white-haired man chuckled. "I understand, but it's something you have to do if you want to help Naruto in the future," he consoled. "Think of it this way. If you do this, then Naruto will be one step closer to becoming Hokage, and you'll be one step closer to getting away from paperwork and meetings." The slug princess sighed. "I know. I'll do it, but I will not enjoy it. Suzune, can you go fetch the esteemed elders?" she asked as she emphasized the esteemed. "Right away, my lady." The dark-haired girl left the room, leaving the two Sannin to themselves. "So what are you going to tell them?" Jiraiya inquired after a moment as he handed Yang her stuffed fox. "Just the basics." They don't need to know much more than that, Tsunade shrugged. Naruto will be happy to know that he can finally live without the constant hate being aimed at him. I thought he was over that already. He is, Jiraiya agreed, but he doesn't feel comfortable leaving his family in such a hostile environment. That's why I agreed to help look after her, he said, referring to Yang. That does make a lot of sense, Tsunade nodded. You do know that this isn't going to get rid of all the animosity the villagers feel, right? She asked. Of course, he said, but it'll be a great start, and with all the stuff he did before he left with me, he's already on the good side of the marketing district. Well, with all the trading contracts he brought in from Wave, the land of tea, the rice country, and many others, it really shouldn't be that surprising, Tsunade agreed. But what about Iwa or even Kumo? They could stage kidnappings and assassination attempts to get to him. After all, Naruto's father isn't very liked amongst them because of his actions during the last Shinobi War, the blonde remarked. I know, Jiraiya sighed, but this is something he said he wants to happen. All he can really do is support him the best we can. Tsunade went to say something, but stopped when the door opened and Shizune walked in with two elderly people following her. One of them, a man, had gray hair, a beard, glasses, and a seemingly permanent frown adorning his face. He wore garb similar to that of Hiruzen when he acted in his capacity as third Hokage. The other elder, a female, had similar gray hair that was pulled back in a twin bun locked by a traditional Japanese hairpin with the decorative pearls and tassels hanging off the edges. She wore a simple long kimono closed by an obi, a jacket with a sash over it, and her eyes were squinted to the point where they no longer looked open. These two were Homura Mitoka and Koharu Utatane. "Why have you called us here, Slug Princess?" Homura asked in a wise voice. "If it's to deal with another one of your debts, then I am leaving." Suzuna waved him off. "Yeah, yeah, whatever," she said dismissively, causing the elder to stew. "I didn't ask you here for that. I'm here to discuss the inheritance of one of our shinobi." "And who might this person be?" Koharu asked. "I wasn't aware we had any more ninja with clan relevance." "Yes, well, this one was well hidden. He comes from a very important clan that is now on the brink of extinction, to it being wiped out during the Second Shinobi War," Tsunade said with a hidden smirk as the two elders became more attentive. "Get on with it, will you?" the gray-haired man asked when the slug Sanin let the silence stretch. "Well, as I'm sure you are aware, during the war, the Uzumaki was wiped out by the combined efforts of Iwa and Kumo," Tsunade said, and the elders nodded. "Throughout the years, the Uzumaki and Senju kept close ties with members sometimes marrying between clans, such as our first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and Mito Uzumaki. After the end of the Warring State period, the Senju chose to symbolize their clan's friendship by adding the Uzumaki's emblem to our flag jackets. The Uzumaki remained as close allies over many decades, with them providing sealing techniques along with many other things. Whenever there was a need, this relationship was further developed when they sent us one of their first jonin, Kushina Uzumaki, when she was a child before they perished in battle." "We already know this. Why are you telling us this information?" Koharu demanded, as she grew annoyed with the topic. She knew of the famed red hot-blooded habanero, but failed to see the relevance to the topic as she was already dead. "Because," Tsunade continued calmly, "during her time here, Kushina Uzumaki was eventually rescued from an attempted kidnapping from Kumo by Minato Namikaze and later developed an intimate relationship with the Jonin that resulted in pregnancy. She eventually gave birth to a child but died shortly after during the Kyubi attack. Minato, seeing that there was no choice, decided to seal the beast within his own son." The blonde grinned at the elders' stunned faces. "That's right. One of the final known members of the Uzumaki clan and the child of our last Hokage is none other than Naruto Uzumaki." Stunned silence met her statement as the two remaining members of Konoha's council fell into a state of open-mouthed shock. That moment was ruined, however, when a fluffy orange object hit both of them. The two both turned as one and saw Yang, who was giggling happily and clapping her hands excitedly. "I hate old Paulson!" And Jiraiya, still holding on to the small girl, chuckled sheepishly. "It seems she is going to like formal settings just as much as her father." "And just who is her father?" Homer asked. "Why, Naruto Uzumaki, of course," Jiraiya answered cheerfully. That was too much for the elder female to take, as she then fainted in shock, forcing the elder male to reach out and catch her. The man gave them all one last look before leaving the room while dragging Koharu behind him. "I think you overwhelmed them a bit, Jiraiya-sama," Shizune said, while looking slightly amused. He gave another sheepish laugh. "Just a bit." The three then fell into a comfortable silence as Yang, who had finally tired out, slept peacefully. They never noticed the small bird made out of paper sitting on the window sill watching them intently. Meanwhile, sitting outside at the top of the Hokage monument was a woman with short, straight blue hair with a large light blue paper flower in it. Her eyes were amber with lavender eye shadow, and she had elaborate piercing. The most distinctive thing about this mysterious woman, however, was the black cloak with red clouds symbolizing her allegiance with the Akatsuki. Her eyes gazed impassively at the small bird fashioned out of paper as it relayed the last bit of information. "Final known members of the Uzumaki clan, and the child of our last Hokage is none other than Naruto Uzumaki," it said. "Hmm." The woman sighed thoughtfully. "This could be useful. If we were to capture the child after releasing this information to other villages, then we could stage it to where it looked like Iwa was responsible." She thought aloud. "I must report this to Lord Pain." Her body slowly turned to paper and floated away in the wind. As this occurred, an average-sized crow sat in the darkness of a tree branch with its red eyes gleaming slightly. It then cawed and flapped away, leaving naught but a single black feather in its place.